Hi, everyone. Today we're here with Father Michael Manos. He is the assistant priest at Assumption in St. Clair Shores, and he's here with us this week to be our priest at camp. So we have a few questions that we want to ask him. So, Father, first we want to ask you to tell us about your years here at MDSC, some of the jobs that you've done, and what it's meant to you.
I only came once as not even a camper. It was while I was waterfront staff. Mm-hmm. Came when I was 17. And I think it was like sort of a weird age to come if you haven't come before for the first time. But there was one girl I knew who I'd been in high school with, and she had gone to the camp. So I had one person I sort of knew coming here, mm-hmm. which was nice. And it was just, at that age, it was just really fun. And it was sort of really interesting for me to see, because I felt like an outsider, not in a negative sense, but people had been growing up in these sort of groups. And they had so many sort of jokes and shared experiences and all this stuff. And, but I felt welcomed very, very much. And it was like another world that I wasn't part of, but I was allowed to mm-hmm. visit it.
Yeah.
So I loved that, and I was on the waterfront, so just all day in the beach in the sun, and with other peers my age, and some of the younger kids. And then after that, I came as a priest. I think probably the first 3 years after I was ordained, mm-hmm. and saw it sort of from different eyes. And as a priest, what I valued, what makes me, and still makes me happy about here, is that it sort of seems like a place where kids can talk about either one-on-one, mm-hmm. they'll do confession, or sort of in groups. They talk about things they probably don't usually talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe because they're with everyone here sort of has a shared faith, mm-hmm. Or maybe it's just the setting. Yeah. Like I asked yesterday about phones. Yeah. They're still they're locked down, yes. Right? So that's really good for kids, and it's good for us.
Right.
Today I after a conversation with a young girl, she was like 9 years old. Mm-hmm. I was just like, the whole spiritual life is just about staying like a kid, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I think it's a great place for the kids to be able to talk about what's closest to their hearts, and usually they might not have a chance to do that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And now you, Father, did some missionary work in Turkey and also lived in Greece for a while. Could you tell us a little bit more about your time doing those things?
Yeah. I did very little mission work, but there's a population in Turkey that's Christian, mm-hmm. and that's not the majority religion, and many Christians are centered there in Constantinople and Istanbul, but there are many who are in small villages. So I was in a small village, and I was with a very a prayerful bishop who always had a missionary sort of mindset. And so when he retired, he stepped down from his see, where his active metropolis. He was given a historical title, and he, instead of sort of just letting it be a title, actually went to this place and served the people there. So it was a blessing to be there, and amazing to me that these people sort of held on to their faith. Even though they hadn't, before this bishop went there, hadn't had a liturgy there for 100 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and for our family, it was a little leap of faith, because we had at the time 3 children and knew very little Turkish, and it was just a totally different world, and so it wasn't really a logical thing to do, but it was good. It was good, and I think when we jump in life, that's when we often feel that God's there.
Sure.
If we're sort of always on ground that we're safe on, whether in a big way or just in a daily way, then I don't know. We don't need God, and we don't feel His presence as much. But if we take some sort of leap of faith, not necessarily a risk, but something that's maybe hard for us, is we felt intensely that God was there with us.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we went to Thessaloniki and lived there. I served in a parish there, did some studying, and that was good. The irony there is we'd left America for mission work, and then we landed in Greece, which has a 2,000-year history of orthodoxy, very stable. The church has been there and is likely to remain there. And so, funnily, we left America for mission, but after a couple months or weeks of being in Greece, I remember sitting in the altar at the parish and thinking, America's really a mission field. It sort of was. It's the same feeling. We don't realize here the support that we actually lack. We have support. Yes. But until you go somewhere and you see, like Greece, where there's so much support, every Orthodox family or every Orthodox Christian is in some way a missionary because they are doing that thing of having to sort of rely on God. Yes. Without sort of the obvious, there's a church on every corner, and even as a priest, you're not surrounded. In my own neighborhood when I walked around, just living in the neighborhood, there are 4 or 5 priests, right? So you're surrounded by people who can strengthen your faith. You don't feel alone. Here, in America, distances are bigger. The Orthodox are fewer. Yes. And so it can feel more like a mission field. It can feel like that. Yeah. But maybe not camp. Maybe camp is one of those places you feel the support.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And that kind of leads into our next question, which is, are there any cultural barriers between being a priest overseas and being a priest here in the United States?
It's almost entirely different. What's common is as common as the church and its services, but the questions that people have, in my experience, what people tend to ask in Greece versus what people tend to ask about in America are very different. So I don't know that there's a cultural barrier, but there's a difference because people are trying to live their faith in the world around them, right? So often in America, we as Christians are trying to figure out sort of what does it mean to be a Christian when our neighbors are not Christian, and we love them, and we can have many questions about our identity and other people's identity and other people's beliefs, right? In sort of a pluralistic culture, whereas there, those questions would never cross. They don't cross many people's minds, right? Faith in both places, the church in both places, but the questions are different. Okay. Yeah.
And now, kind of going back to camp, what is the most fulfilling part of being a priest at camp for you?
I think it's like the planned conversations usually. Of course, hearing confessions feels good because I know that a lot of campers may confess the most at camp, or it may be their first time and things like that. So I'm happy to see them sort of introduced to that sacrament of the church. I think that's a really good thing in their life and in their future living out of their faith. But aside from that, sort of unplanned usually. Yeah. We do lessons and there's often good discussions, but usually the unplanned things are personal things, right? Yeah. Someone has a question about their life, or I struggle with this, or I'm thinking about this. And so it's beautiful just to be there, I guess, to listen and for them to have somewhere to ask it. Yeah. And I also really like when we all say the Lord's Prayer. And I really like that camp song, petitions that are
Yes,
the petitions.
Come My Brothers.
But they're songs. I tend to not. I like to close my mouth then. I just think it's so beautiful that to hear everyone hear all the campers praying together.
Definitely, yeah. I love that too. Do you have any words of wisdom for the campers and staff of MDSC?
I have no words of wisdom. I have no words of wisdom. But no. But I have words of encouragement that it's certainly the questions they might ask at camp, to keep asking them and to try to bring because here you might ask about, like, what sort of person should I be in my life? The bigger questions, what is my faith? What does it mean to me? And so it's really good here they come out. They seem to come out of the setting. But it's good to live an examined life, right? So we shouldn't only ask those questions here and then go back and forget about them. We should constantly ask them because that will give our life meaning and direction, and ultimately lead us to God.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah.
Well, we want to say thank you again to Father Michael for answering our questions and learning a little bit more about you. It's been very good. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. God bless you.